Starting? Hey, hello. I'm CJ, Social Advocacy for GoDaddy, and I'm here with Heather Dodson, who is with...
Hi, I am the CMO with Social Media Explorer and SME Digital.
Excellent. And we're here to talk about how you can improve social customer care for yourself, get started for small businesses, all kinds of fun stuff like that. And before I even get started, just know that you can ask any questions that you want. We have Heather, who's an expert here, and I might know a little. And we have Colby over here in the corner who you can't see, and he'll let us know your questions, and we'll be happy to answer any of them for you. So we have some great information from Heather. Hi, yeah, thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for wearing green.
Oh yeah, perfect. I almost wore orange. I should have worn orange, but we've got the green going on today.
Green is best.
This is a real passion of mine. Number one, customer service, and number two, small business success. Those, I'm really passionate about both of those. And what I'm seeing is small businesses not quite taking advantage of utilizing social to provide customer care. And I think that there are some things that are preventing small businesses from doing that. Like, I don't have enough time, or I'm not sure what to do, or, oh my gosh, it's another thing that I have to do on social. And so I just want to talk today a little bit about how small businesses can leverage social to provide care, and some tools and some tips and tricks to help them.
And to show that it's not as hard as it looks.
That's right.
There's so much easy stuff out there to help you too. So awesome.
Yeah. So first, I want to say that customers who experience have a positive experience with customer service are 4 times more likely to endorse a brand on social. So whether or not you are on social, people are talking about you on social, whether it's good or bad, regardless, it's out there. And so you need to just kind of get over your fears and make the time to be involved in it, because as other people are saying positive things about you, that is spreading the word, this word of mouth really amplified. On the flip side of that, a negative comment about you can eradicate many more positive comments about you. So it's really important to be out there paying attention to what people are saying about you.
I've heard something like, for every 1 negative, you want to have 5 positives, or some kind of, that's the ratio I've heard.
Yeah.
But another thing really quick to touch on before we even dive in, let's just assume that somebody's totally new with their business here, and they hear the term being on social, and they don't even know, like, what does that mean? And they don't realize that means Facebook, Twitter, Google+, all of those different channels. So make sure they understand that being on social media is basically being in a space where other people are talking about you publicly online. So any of those spaces, and there's so many to be in.
Yeah, so, and that's part of the challenge, is that people say, oh, I've got to be on Facebook, I have to be on Twitter, I have to be on Instagram, I have to be on Pinterest, I have to be on LinkedIn, I have to be on all these places, and how can I possibly manage all those places? And what I tell people is, start with one and get really good at one instead of sucking at all of them.
That's right.
And for most people, that is going to be on Facebook or on Twitter. Those are the basic places where 75% of Americans who are online are actively using social platforms. Now, I don't have the breakdown to tell you how many people are on Facebook and how many are on Twitter, but there are over 1 billion people using Facebook, and those are active users. That means that they log in for at least 30 minutes every day.
Just 30 minutes?
Yeah, I know. I can't imagine just 30 minutes. I can't either. And so it's important that you understand that people are out there, and there's a lot of opportunity for you to harness social networks, but don't get overwhelmed and thinking you need to be everywhere all at one time. You don't. We're going to talk about some tools later on in the broadcast where you can start looking at everything, but that doesn't mean that you have to have, I've got to have a Facebook page, I have to have a Twitter account, I have to have all these different things.
Right. It makes sense to learn one really good, because then you always have that one that you're comfortable with, and then you can branch off and try this one. And then also that helps you to determine which ones actually suit your business, because there may not be a reason for you to be on Pinterest, or you might be, crafting. If you're crafting and you have like all these great things to show pictures of, you need to be on Instagram and Pinterest. And so things that sort of relate to that platform.
Yeah, that's
so
exactly
you'll learn
right.
that as you go.
Yeah, and it's helping you identify where your customers are. Where is the conversation that's going on? Maybe not necessarily about you or your product, but about your industry and those keywords that are related to your industry. Those conversations could be happening on Facebook. They might be happening on Twitter. If you have a hard product like jewelry or baby clothes and things like that, you're probably going to need to be on Pinterest. But starting out with a good listening program will help you identify where you really need to be. People now, consumers, are doing so much research ahead of time before they ever even talk to you, a salesperson, or anybody else related with their product. We've all done this. I did it last night. You post something on Facebook that says, hey, I'm looking for this.
Landscaper, gardener, dentist, someone, where do I get my tires fixed?
Exactly. We are all asking our networks out there for recommendations, and then we're doing the research. And depending on what kind of industry you're in, people are researching you right under your nose. Especially, I think about real estate professionals. I mean, people are really, really researching their real estate professionals, and they're already looking at houses, they're already looking at neighborhoods, they're already doing all of those kinds of things before they ever fall into somebody's funnel, before they pick up the phone and call, or they fill out an opt-in form. So it's important for you to be out there and providing information so people can discover that information and start to build a relationship with you. I think that a lot of people are still in this mindset that social media is only for marketing, is only for pushing these messages out that are marketing related. And we need to shift that thinking a little bit to understand that social is a way to provide information. Ann Handley says, share information, solve a problem, but stop selling. And that's where this customer service, especially you've got different components of customer service. You have reactive and proactive. And proactive customer service really comes in that let's provide information that is going to help people in a way that builds relationships and builds trust. And
makes you recognized as an expert in that industry or in that niche, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So if you're offering information about real estate, if you're a realtor and you're offering information about real estate or posting blog posts about in that area, somebody might see that and be like, that guy knows what he's talking about. That guy knows this area. That guy can help me. Or she obviously is the person that people go to because she knows her stuff. Like it just makes it a lot easier to associate with someone who you feel comfortable is confident in what they're
Absolutely.
giving you.
It used to be that we were building relationships face to face. I mean, there are tons of networking events you can go to, and it was always, okay, CJ, I'm going to do business with you because I know you personally, or because Colby introduced us, or however that is. Now we have this opportunity to build these relationships in an online format, and it takes some work. I mean, nobody is telling you that it's easy, but it takes some work, but it is definitely possible, and you have the capability now to reach a much wider audience than you ever have before. And right now, small businesses are not really taking advantage of this. And so if you start now by providing customer service using social networks, you can really use that as a differentiator in the competitive landscape. So you can really stand out by providing relatively rapid customer service, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but also just make yourself stand out from the crowd.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have a presence, make your presence known, and just be there.
Yeah.
And being there is so important, and know your stuff. You got to know your stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. What you're doing is you are actually providing people with information to help their purchasing decisions. So if you're just putting this information out there and you're answering questions, if people are asking you questions on Facebook or on Twitter or on Pinterest or wherever, and you're putting this information out there, you're actually helping people in that decision buying process that they're already doing before they ever even contact you. And actually, let's talk a little bit about how consumers have changed. Expectations have changed completely over the last, I'd say probably over the last 5 years. And number one, from a customer service standpoint, there are more channels available to consumers than there ever have been. So it used to be I would pick up the phone and call for customer service. And then what happens now? You get put on hold, you get stuck in this auto dialer thing, and yep, I know my business is really important to you, but you put me on hold.
And not only that, but I don't know about you, but I'm busy. I'm busy like all the time, busy, crazy busy. So when I need help with something, it's to stop everything I'm doing, to dial a phone, call someone, and then wait for them to get an answer, have a conversation, which, I mean, I do miss phone conversations at times, but I'd rather have them with my friends and loved ones than with a business. And you can go online, or you can send an email, or you can reach out to them on Twitter, and they're right there. They have a team of individuals or someone who's monitoring that can get back to you quickly and efficiently. You know, it's, you know, or even they can just say, what time would you like me to call you? So, I mean, all of those things are very good for the customer and very handy to have for the busy lifestyles that we all lead now.
Absolutely. Customers, including myself, we demand speed and efficiency. If I'm taking the time out to call you or to tweet you or to send you an email or to walk into your business, if I'm walking into your business, you better look out, because that means I've already tried calling you or tried emailing you, and now I've got to go into the business myself. But consumers are really demanding speed and efficiency, and social is one way they're doing that. They're doing that because they're connected. They're already on their computer and probably have a tab open that has Facebook open, maybe has Twitter open. They're already there. And so they're going to go look and see, do you have a Twitter presence, and how responsive are you on Twitter? And so we really have to shape our businesses in the way that consumers are purchasing, in the way consumers are reacting. I don't do that. That's not the way I run my business. You can't have that mentality anymore. You have to think about the way the consumer wants to find information and the way the consumer wants to connect with you. You can say all day long, we're not going to have a Twitter social support account, or we're not going to do social support. We're only going to answer the phones, but you are going to alienate a certain percentage of your customers. And we're going to see that more and more as people become more connected, especially on mobile devices. From a mobile device, I can tweet anybody I want. I can Facebook anybody I want. I can blast a message to the world right from my pocket.
Exactly. I mean, I won't name any names, but I actually had a recent experience with two different companies. They're the same type of company, and I was trying to make a purchase, and it was cheaper with one company than another, but I had applied a credit, and I was emailing them and I was tweeting at them, and they just were like, you need to call. Yeah. And you know what I did? I bought it the other place. Yeah. I did, because the other place I could just go and buy it. And I was like, you know what? It's not worth my time. I'd rather pay that extra $1. So that I don't have to go, you know, because I didn't have, I mean, I'm not going to stop. I was, you know, at work, or I was on my lunch break, where I'm not going to stop and take all that time to call. And I could just send a message. Can you just apply this for me? No, we can't do that.
And that's the differentiator, is that you chose to spend more money with the company that was providing it, making it easier for you. Yep. Making it more simple.
Because my time is worth that to me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That is one of the most precious commodities that we have, is our time. And when it comes to small business owners, my goodness, small business owners are spread so thin, because you want to be doing your thing, right? Maybe Twitter is not your thing. Maybe you're not in the social media industry, but you are a landscaper, or you are a pool guy, whatever it is. You want to be doing your thing. And so finding time to actually be responsive is challenging. So for large companies, or even medium-sized companies, they often have at least a person, if not a team, dedicated to responding in a very quick manner. And when I am making recommendations to enterprise level companies, I say you should be responding to every mention of your name within 15 minutes. Is that how you guys do it at GoDaddy?
I know we respond very quickly. Yeah. I'm not in that responding area anymore as much, but I do know that we have tools that let us know whenever there is a mention, so that we can be right on it. And we have someone, we're 24/7, so we should have someone 24/7 responding to them. So it depends on the time of day, what the response rate will be, but they do try to respond within 20 minutes to an hour.
Right. So that's for large companies. Now for small businesses, they can't necessarily respond within 15 minutes. And so my suggestion to small businesses is to create a priority system. So a tier 1 and a tier 2. So a tier 1 message would require a much faster response. So it would be a complaint about your service or product. It could be a direct question about your service or product, or it could be somebody letting letting you know, hey, I read this negative thing about your product. I would consider that tier 1, and that those need a much faster response. And we'll talk about what response times are in a minute. And then tier 2 is something along the lines of they gave your brand a shout out, or they're just mentioning your brand, or they're generally just asking their followers. They're not talking to you directly, but they're asking their followers, hey, Coke or Pepsi. They're talking to their, but that still deserves a response. Every person who is mentioning your brand deserves a response. And what I generally tell small businesses is people know that you're a small business. People know that you're not this billion-dollar company or a multi-million-dollar company. You are a small business. Yet. Great point. Great point. Yet. And so for small businesses, I generally say, if you can respond to tier 2 messages in 24 hours, that's great. So those messages where people are just mentioning your name, or they're saying, we love whatever your brand is, within 24 hours. But if it's a tier 1, those really need to be addressed within 12 hours, typically same day. And if you have your tools and your monitoring system set up the proper way, you can actually get notified on your mobile device or on your computer right away when something like that happens. And then when you see that, you can make a decision about, okay, is this something that I need to respond to right now, or is it something that I can wait 6 hours or 8 hours to respond to?
And sometimes a response doesn't necessarily mean it's the resolution.
That's exactly right.
You just need to make sure that they know you've received that message and you're going to take care of them.
Yes.
However it is, so that they've been heard. And I think that's key too.
That's an excellent point of just respond and say, hey, I've got your message. I need to look into this. I will get back to you. And give them a time frame. Give them a time frame of I will get back to you within 24 hours. If you've responded, you are going to satiate that consumer's need to, I need answers right this minute. That's an excellent point. And by the way, if you have any questions while we're having this discussion, please feel free to type in your questions. We've got Colby over there monitoring, and we'll be happy to answer questions live on the air, whether you're a small business that is not using social for anything right now, or if you're confused about the difference between customer care and marketing on social, or if you have some great examples, or some of my favorites are the examples of what not to do on social. We can talk about those too. And I have a story that I can share about what not to do, just kind of in the social realm.
There's so many of those.
I know.
It's hard to pick just one.
There are so many of those, and that brings up a great point. So let's talk about, if you're a small business and you have, let's say 5 employees, okay? And let's be clear, the definition of small business is different to everyone. Okay, a small business to Google is, 1,000 employees is a small business. To me, small business is 20 employees or less. To GoDaddy, a small business is even smaller than that. So let's talk about, if I have a small business and I have, let's say 5 employees, including me, and we're all working on various things, should we all be responsible for customer service?
Well, of course.
Yes. Yes. We should all play a role in customer service, and it's possible that everybody on your team should have a role in social customer service. However, to avoid those stories of what not to do, it's very important to create guardrails for your employees. And guardrails are building a social media policy. And the social media policy can be very simple. It does not have to be 25 pages of legal copy or anything like that. It can just be actually 1 page of, here's what to do and here's not what to do, and here's how utilizing social aligns with our company values, how we use our tone of voice on social. And there is actually a great database of social media policies, and I can't remember it right now. I think it may be socialmediagovernance.org. Double check that. But if you just look up social media policies, there is a great database that has all of these fantastic social media policies that are real policies.
Oh, that's awesome.
And my 2 favorites are the Coca-Cola policy and the Best Buy policy. Now, those are huge companies. So you would think just naturally that they would have these policies that are harsh and everything. No, they're fantastic. So take a look at Coca-Cola and Best Buy's social media policies and help that shape your guidelines and your guardrails for your employees. Now, if you are afraid of what your employees might say or how they might react on social, then you have an entirely different problem than a social problem. That is an employee recruiting problem. That's what that is.
Then you might want to rethink your employees.
That is exactly right. And I have to tell you that most businesses, whether they're small or large, they actually are fearful of what their employees might say. And that's what I say, is that there's a bigger problem at play here than just empowering your employees to use social. Like, let's talk about what's going on with your employees that makes you feel like they might.
Right. And what is it? Are you worried that they're going to make a mistake, or are you worried that they're going to actually say something purposefully that's wrong or something? Yeah. And that can take two different directions.
Yeah, exactly. And let's be clear about this. Mistakes will happen. Mistakes happen. You can avoid mistakes as much as possible through training, through guardrails, through trusting and empowering and investing in your employees or in yourself. Invest in the time of what you should be and what you shouldn't be doing on social. But mistakes are going to happen. And how you react to that mistake is very, very important. The one thing that you should not do, if someone tweets to you or posts on your Facebook page a negative comment, you should never, ever just delete it.
Kind of on that topic, Jamie Lau wants to know, like, what social media monitoring tools do you guys recommend for small businesses?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Jamie. Hi, Jamie. We've actually got, there are several that you can use, and we'll just jump ahead to that if you want to. So first of all, there's a very powerful tool out there that is called socialmention.com, and it's completely free, and it's very cool. It's actually almost like a browser. So you can go to socialmention.com and you can type in the name of your brand. You can type in the name of your employees. Jamie, in your case, the name of the doctors. You can type in keywords related to your industry, and it is going to scour the internet and pull in all mentions of your brand, your name, whatever that is. It's looking at not just social platforms, but everywhere on the internet. So that's a really cool one.
So that pulls out, does that pull blog posts and everything?
It does. It pulls blog posts. It does. The only thing that it won't pull is from Facebook profiles where the post is private. Yeah. And there's no tool that is going to do that. So if I'm posting on my profile and I have it locked down so that only my friends can see it, there is no social tool that is going to
as it should be.
Yes, as it should be.
Thank you, Facebook, for making that possible.
As it should be. Yes. So socialmention.com is one that I recommend all the time, and it's completely free. And then of course, most people know about Google Alerts. Google Alerts is a free service from Google where you can go in and you can type in your brand, your name, whatever it is. If you have a fairly unique name, you should type that in and have that set as a search parameter. Then what happens on a daily basis, Google will scour Google and then send you an email that has all the mentions of that keyword, your name or whatever that keyword is.
The slang for that is ego surfing.
Yes. Yes, ego surfing.
Ego surfing.
I love it.
But you could do it for your business too.
I love it. Now, Google Alerts went through some changes earlier this year, and it upset some people because it's not using the same search parameters that it was using before. So in the wake of changes, there's always a new competitor that arises. I don't really know how they're competitors because Google Alerts is free, and this other one is free too. It's called Talkwater Alerts. TALKWATER alerts.com. And it provides a very similar function, actually the exact same function as Google Alerts. I find that it's a little more thorough. Google Alerts for the last few months has been kind of finicky.
It has.
And, yeah, have you noticed?
It has. My alerts have been like kind of like, what, how come I didn't get there? They come in at different times and stuff like that. It's been really
and I know that I wrote this blog post, but it's not showing up in Google Alerts, but it will show up in Talkwater.
Let's check that out.
Yeah, so it's a great tool to use. And those are all free. Now, for small businesses, from a broad standpoint of being able to monitor a lot of things, my number one recommendation is Hootsuite. I absolutely love Hootsuite, and there are other tools that you can use that are similar to Hootsuite. A lot of people have only thought of Hootsuite as a social media management aggregator, when really that's just one component of it. You can actually search keywords, you can search conversations, you can actually look and see if people are mentioning your brand without using the @ symbol, and that's really important. Not everybody who is talking about you, especially if they're talking badly about you, they may not be mentioning you with the @ symbol. They may just be using the name of your brand.
Or your hashtag.
Yes.
Hashtag with your name.
Yeah, a hashtag with your name. So Hootsuite's very powerful. Now, there's a free version of Hootsuite that allows you to add up to 5 social platforms. So you can have your personal profile, your business page, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, and
Google Plus, and Instagram.
Yes, Google Plus, yes. And Instagram is an add-on in there too.
Yeah, it has like apps you can add, even in the free version, because I use that too. I love Hootsuite. And so you can add all kinds of things, even in the free version through the app.
Yeah, there's all kinds of add-ons that you can add to it that will pull in content. There's all kinds of things. And so the free version, for most small businesses, when we're talking about true small businesses that are 5 employees or less, Hootsuite, the free version works great. When you move up to the pro version, it's only $15.99 a month. And for most people, for most small businesses, that works really, really well too. You can add additional team members. You can add additional social platforms. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. So that's my number one tool. I think everybody should be using Hootsuite, at least the free version. Little disclaimer, I am a Hootsuite ambassador. I don't get any kind of compensation from Hootsuite whatsoever. I just want to make that really clear. But I do really love Hootsuite. There's an additional program that's called Mention.com. Now, this is different than Social Mention, but Mention.com is another social listening software, and it's all cloud-based, and it is not free. I believe it starts out at $29 a month, and then you are able to, you have a certain number of mentions. So I think in the $29 version, you have 5,000 mentions per month. So you can look and see, and it will pull in mentions of whatever keywords you put in there. So those are some really great tools, and the Social Mention, Google Alerts, and Talkwater Alerts, those are free, and those are things that you could be using right now. And then the free version of Hootsuite is fantastic too.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Twitter aggregators on the, like, I know I've used TweetDeck, which also has some free, and then on your phone, there's all kinds of different ones. Yeah. There's tons of them that you can use. And you just do a search for them and find the one that works for you. I use Hootsuite too.
Yeah.
So I'm happy there.
Shout out to Hootsuite. So great question. Thank you for that. To go along with that, typically people ask, okay, when am I going to have time to do this? I am at work all day, I'm taking appointments, or I'm making appointments, or I'm selling, or I'm making my thing that I make. When am I going to have time to do this? What I tell small businesses is that you should make social media like brushing your teeth. Do it in the morning and do it at night. Whatever works for you, you should be taking the time to go in and see how people are interacting with you.
Or even just schedule it like an appointment every day, just like you would anything else.
Yeah.
Schedule it in, and then you'll do it more regularly.
That's exactly right. And if you make that hard schedule of, okay, from 10 to 10:30, I am focused on social media. And that can include your marketing aspects, your customer service aspect, your proactive outreach. You can do all of that in that time period. I am in social media 24 hours a day. I even have nightmares about Facebook, you guys. Come on. But that's my job, and that's my role. I don't expect any small business owner to be in Facebook 24 hours a day. But you need to set that time aside in order to really research and look at all the different aspects of social and how your customers are using social as well. So let's talk about just some examples of big brands who are doing things that I think are really cool.
Okay.
So JetBlue.
Like GoDaddy.
Yeah, GoDaddy. Now, I want to say this about GoDaddy. I truly believe that GoDaddy is a pioneer in social customer service. I truly believe that. GoDaddy has been providing customer service via social longer than any other company that I've dealt with. And you guys really have set the standards for that. At a time where people are kind of still trying to shut people up on social. If we just ignore them on social, they'll just go away, or they'll just call us on the phone. That's not what happens, you guys. If you ignore somebody on social, they get louder and they get angrier, and then they
rally off of one another.
They rally. I mean, it really is, and you guys have probably seen it. So GoDaddy definitely is a pioneer, and I want to give a great example of GoDaddy customer service. This didn't happen directly to me, but this happened to a friend of mine who one morning, I think it was a Sunday morning, I noticed that he had tweeted and he had posted on Facebook, "You should never buy domains when you're intoxicated. I accidentally bought this domain from GoDaddy last night and it was misspelled. It was just one letter off. It was misspelled." And he had tweeted that, and someone from the GoDaddy social support team responded to him and took care of him and fixed it. So he actually got the domain he wanted instead of, he wasn't complaining. He was just making a statement.
And I always said that we should install a breathalyzer on the front of site.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that, just make sure.
Yeah. I don't know if everybody's like me, but I have these moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to buy that domain. I got to go buy it right now. So I just think that's a great example of, he was just having a conversation, not to GoDaddy. He was just making a statement, and GoDaddy actually picked that up on Twitter and said, hey, let's make this right for you.
Yep.
That's I think
what we want to do.
Yeah. And those are things that you can do too. One of my favorite brands on Twitter is JetBlue. And the reason why I like JetBlue so much is that they are so responsive. I mean, and now we're talking about a big brand that has a lot of people that are working on their social team, but they are so responsive and they interact no matter what. They're not interacting just because I'm asking a question or I have a problem or anything like that. They're just having conversations. And that's really what we need to be doing on social, is having conversations. And so when I tweet, hey, I only want to travel on JetBlue Airlines and only stay at Kimpton hotels. And then when JetBlue, responds to me, that makes me feel happy. JetBlue is actually listening to me. Now, I will say this about JetBlue. JetBlue does not handle customer service issues over their Twitter account. However, they make that very clear in their Twitter profile. And in their Twitter profile, it has a statement in there that says something along the lines, we do not handle customer service issues on Twitter. Please call our customer service line, and gives the phone number there. So I think that that's great. And especially, my goodness, the poor airlines. I mean, to begin with, the airlines get hammered on social to begin with.
Do.
Yeah, they get hammered on social. But I think that that's a great way.
Because there's so many people that use the airlines, and there's so many things that are out of airlines' control.
Absolutely.
Really. I'm sorry that it rained.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry it's lightning outside. Yeah.
I'm sorry that we can't fly when, or in Phoenix, I'm sorry we can't fly when the tar is melted.
Yeah. Yeah,
sorry,
exactly.
The tires will melt into the tar.
Yeah.
Or whatever reason the plane's not flying. But yes, I see that airlines just get attacked.
Yes.
So it's got to be rough.
So I love that JetBlue just at least responds. And they have instantaneous response. You as a small business owner, you don't have to have instantaneous response, but at least respond. Take the time. These are people who are taking the time to talk to you, whether it's good or bad. They're taking the time to talk to you.
It's kind of like somebody coming into your store. They wouldn't come into your store and say something and then you would just ignore them. You'd say, can I help you today?
That is exactly right.
So, it's just your presence is there. And so if you're present and they're present, why not have a conversation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another brand that I think does some things very well on social, we're going to leave everything. We're not going to talk about anything else. We're only going to talk about social, and that is McDonald's. Okay, McDonald's is very controversial to some people. But from a social perspective, they do a great job of responding to issues that arise on McDonald's Twitter handle. They do get a lot of complaints for various things. How many times have you gone through the drive-thru and something's not right in your bag? That they are dealing with those kinds of things all day, every day, and they do a great job of
responding. You're talking about someone with a massive amount of customers.
Right.
And so they have a lot. The more customers
Absolutely.
you have, the more tweets and Facebook posts are going to arise from that.
Right.
So as a small business, you might have a more manageable set, but still, it doesn't matter how many you have. You still want to be present for that.
Right. One of the things that I learned recently, I was at a conference and the social media guy from McDonald's was speaking, and he talked about how they have put together basically a binder that has aggregated their most common complaints or their most common questions, and then they have come up with responses for those. Not canned responses. Not that they're going to take this and this is going to automate and this is exactly what it's going to say, but it gives at least an outline of how to respond to that. And I think that that's something that small businesses can adopt. If you start seeing similar questions, and these questions don't have to come in on social. If you're getting questions that your customers are asking you face to face, or if they're asking you for information, or you're identifying problems, you can create a manual that has these guidelines for you and your employees to be able to answer those questions in a quick fashion without having to say, okay, this is what this guy said. How do I respond to this, CJ? I don't know what to do. So I think that that's something that small businesses can take from how McDonald's handles their social medias. Let's have some preparation. That goes along with your social media policy and creating those guardrails. Let's have some structure. Let's have a crisis policy. Let's have a plan in case something happens.
And as an aside, that's a great way to use social media too, because you're aggregating a bunch of questions. And if you have the same thing over and over again, maybe that's information you need to put out there. And then if you answer these questions in some, in a blog post or something, like these are our frequently asked questions, or I have an FAQ for you, or whatever, and you can drive traffic to different places and then get yourself recognized because you're offering what the people are looking for. So it's a great way to aggregate information that people need, and then you can offer it in advance.
Absolutely. I love brands, small and large, and I've seen several small businesses do this, that take those kinds of questions that they get and they turn those into tweetable tips. So maybe I've had this one question, how do I? Those are a lot of questions, especially if you're a tech company. You get a lot of how do I questions. We'll turn those into tweets and create a hashtag. Create a hashtag that goes along with those, so that if somebody comes across a tweet that has that hashtag on it and it's this valuable information, they then can search that hashtag and find out these other tips that you're sharing. And I think that that's really valuable. And more and more, I'm seeing people go to Twitter and search for responses as people begin to understand how to use Twitter more. And Twitter is growing, folks. I mean, that's just the way it is. And people are learning how to use Twitter and learning how to search. I'm seeing more and more people understanding that they can go and search a hashtag on Twitter to find specific information.
You can search hashtags on Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus now. Yes. Although Facebook, again, it's a lot of people still are private, so you won't get as much information. But Google Plus is doing it as well. And you can Google Plus is cool because when you post something in Google Plus, it'll automatically hashtag it for you. I kind of like that feature.
I know.
I love it because it's like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
I know. It does. And it's really pretty accurate. I don't think that there's been a post yet that I've made on Google Plus where I go, I don't want that hashtag. I mean, Google Plus is they're doing some things right.
Just so you know, every post my daughter makes has a hashtag Pokemon.
Really?
Oh yeah, everyone.
I love it.
So it does. It knows what you're talking about and what you're interested in. And so, if you want to go and see all the Pokemon posts or all of the how do I posts or whatever, and you just click on it and it'll just give you all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about advocacy. So there recently was a brand who I love, and they posted a picture on Instagram. And I commented on the picture on Instagram. I happen to be a customer of this brand also. And I just commented on a picture that they posted. And 2 or 3 days later, I got a package in the mail from this brand that had a couple little swag gifts in it. It had yo-yos and stuff like that, and a handwritten thank you note from someone at that brand that was just acknowledging the fact that I commented on their picture. And those kinds of things, for me personally, and for a lot of people I know, make a big difference. So let's talk a little bit about what GoDaddy is doing from an advocacy side.
Well, and that's what I do. I do social advocacy. So we had this great project that started a while back where what we do, what I do is I watch Twitter and find people talking about GoDaddy and have conversations with them. And a lot of times we just want to say thank you for acknowledging us. So it's kind of twofold though. I will get that person to say thank you for talking about us in a positive manner, but also we have vendors we have customers. They are our customers who are using our services to sell their products, whether they be, food products or pet products or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I've got a few of these companies. I've got a pickle company, Miss Jenny's Pickles, who is awesome. Everyone loves Miss Jenny's Pickles.
I need some of those.
Mom's Originals does the pretzels and the chocolates. And just recently I've got Vanita Rub Company who does they do organic rubs and for meats and barbecuing and all kinds of stuff like that. So I have customer A over here who's like, I love GoDaddy. GoDaddy rocks. I had good service, whatever. And I'm like, thanks for saying that. Then I go to these awesome customers that are selling their products using GoDaddy services, and I send them a gift from that customer to this customer. So it's not only thanking them, but then when I tweet about it, everybody tweets, it's like group hug. We all love each other, and it promotes everybody, and everybody gets some good out of it. So I love this project, and I think it's really fun, and it helps everybody, and it's just good because I love to see people succeed. And so the more we can help our customers, so we have small businesses, the more we can build them up and help them succeed, the better we're going to be. And the happier I'll be, because I just love helping.
Yes, and I love that, using customers or purchasing from customers to reward customers. I absolutely love that. And in most small business ecosystems, there's a lot of networking that goes on, and I believe that that's probably something that a lot of small businesses could adopt, is to we're going to buy gifts from this customer to give to. I think that's an absolutely fantastic program.
Or just to promote them.
Yes.
And it's not saying that people don't want GoDaddy swag, but I mean, you can get GoDaddy swag, that's cool too. But to get something that's unique, like habanero bread and butter pickles, I mean, come on, they're delicious. I've eaten them. I promise. They're delicious.
And really, all small businesses should be supporting other small businesses.
And it's amazing to get something from one company that doesn't have that company's name on it. They're not getting something that says GoDaddy. We already know they like us. We want them to like this company over here. So it's really cool. And I actually do have an example of another company that's in town who I love their social media, especially, and I think I only follow them on Facebook, but I'm sure they're on Twitter, but I love their Facebook, and that's Dutch Bros. Coffee. First of all, I love their coffee, but every day there's a post in their feed that's like, it has all the employees, pictures, and they're having fun. And it's just like when you go through there, it has the same feel as when you go through their line and you're ordering your coffee or your ice cream or whatever you're getting. They care about you. They're not there to talk about themselves or to say, we're great. They're just like, hey, come here. We have this for you. And how's your day? And what are you up to? And so it's a customer service model that I absolutely am in love with.
Yeah.
So that's the way that they are on Facebook. If you ever just go read their Facebook page, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
I love that. So
check out Dutch Brothers Facebook page. I'm going to do that. That actually reminds me of something that happened recently. There's a florist in town named Bobby's Flowers, Bobbi, Bobby's Flowers. I had never heard of them. I didn't know they existed. I typically use 1-800-Flowers or Pro Flowers or something like that. Why?
I didn't get any flowers.
because I know about them, or because they're I have some connection with the 1-800-Flowers social media team because of the debacle that happened on February 14th, where 1-800-Flowers deliveries were really messed up, and their poor social media team, I mean, just got hammered. But they did such a great job handling it that I wrote a blog post about it, about how to do social media right. So this Bobby's Flowers, they actually started doing something that's really cool that I had never heard of before. And they started picking one name per week. And if that was your name, you could come in and get a free bouquet of flowers. And the way I found out about it is, one week, the name was Heather. So if your name was Heather, you could come in and get a free bouquet of flowers. That got me into the store. Listen, I like flowers. Okay. I like fresh flowers.
My name will never come up on the list, but I would go get the flowers.
If you have a very unique name, that might not work for you.
You may want to tip them off.
Yeah, exactly. But what that did is that actually got me into the store. That is a brick and mortar business. That is not solely an online business, because they have gifts and stuff there too. That actually got me into the store, where then, flower shops always smell so nice. And then here I am now looking at all these cool gifts that they have. And then this little bouquet of flowers, it was nothing fancy. It wasn't a dozen roses, but it was just this nice little bouquet of flowers that now has introduced me to that brand. And moving forward, when I think of flowers, I'm going to use Bobby's Flowers, because I think that was such a unique way to get people into the store. And they had a great conversation.
And, Red Robin did that too with hamburgers. I
did?
remember it was like James Dean's birthday or something, and they gave hamburgers to everyone named Jim or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
I remember that day.
Yeah.
I was like, do I have friends named Jim?
Yeah.
Go get a burger.
Yeah, exactly. So you can look at, now Bobby's Flowers is a small brand.
And that's a small brand doing it.
Small brand, locally owned. And you can look at these things that larger brands are doing and think about how you can scale those down to your business. The JetBlue instantaneous response thing might not work for you, but just remember, JetBlue responds to every single person, regardless of what the issue is or whether they're just mentioning JetBlue, they respond to every single person. So make sure that you're doing that. I love this customer advocacy of, we're not just reacting when people are complaining about us, or we're not just trying to put out fires, but we're actually rewarding customers for saying nice things about us. And that is really building your army. Go forth and build your army.
And have fun. And
yes,
people love to laugh. And if you're brightening someone's day, if somebody cracks a joke about you or your company, it's okay, I think, to play back as long as you have common sense. And, and you can play with them. And I've had conversations with people who have started out on a negative, and then at the end, they're just like, thanks for being cool, and then you may not win over a customer, but you may be creating someone who is no longer seeing you in a negative light if they did. And so it's just all those conversations can change things. Or if somebody already loves you, they might just think you're hysterical and love you more. And, all of those things are important to just have those conversations, respect who you're talking to, and just be really genuine and have, let them know that you're listening to them. You're not just a robot. You're not automated.
Exactly.
I'm not into automation.
It's that authenticity. It's that authenticity, and where if you do make a mistake, admit your mistake and then take the steps to correct the mistake. And you mentioned automation. There are certain things that can be automated. You should not be automating your social. There's a difference between automation and scheduling. So there are some things that you can be scheduling in social, but you should not be automating. People know that. Consumers are, 5 years ago in social, you could probably get away with that, but you can't do that anymore. If people go to your Facebook page and they see that it's nothing but automatically scheduled posts and you are not on there interacting, people are going to pass right by you, and they're going to find somebody that actually wants to have a conversation with them. Let's talk about complaints. Yes, do we have a question?
Well, just kind of on that, not really a question. Divinely Sent said, when you guys were talking about the business atmosphere and kind of on automation when you were going there, they said that's one of the reasons why they walked away from Starbucks. The local coffee shops always more engaging on social media and in person to them. So it was an experience on both worlds that kind of made the whole thing come together.
That's exactly it. I think that people have a tendency to draw this demarcation between online and offline, and you really shouldn't. It's all relationships and it's all conversations.
You're still people, even if what you're doing is you're typing it instead of
You made the great analogy earlier of if someone walks into your store, you're going to have a conversation with them. It's exactly the same way. So that's a great point that, leaving Starbucks for locally owned, because we're having conversations on social, like you said, for Dutch Brothers, and you are getting recognition inside of the coffee shop. Imagine if you as a small business owner, you're having conversations with people on Twitter and they come into your coffee shop and you actually know who they are. You are going to blow them away.
It's happened. And I can tell you right now, if you walk into Starbucks, and I'm not just in Starbucks at all. I love all coffee.
I don't drink coffee, so I
But your Starbucks barista is probably not going to recognize you tweeting to them on Twitter.
Right.
But I can tell you right now that I've gone to Dutch Brothers and I've been like, hey, I responded to this post this morning. And they're like, oh, you're CJ.
Yes.
Like they know.
Yes.
And I've gone to local restaurants where I've, tweeted to them and I'm like, oh, I'm on Twitter. I tweeted at you earlier about your hours. And they're like, oh my gosh. And they know who you are and they've had this interaction with you. And I love that. That makes you feel like you've connected with them. There's your human being right there, and they know who you are. They read what you had to say, and that they valued it. So.
Yeah. So stop thinking that just because you're behind a computer screen that you've got this shield from the rest of the world. This really is having conversations and just developing those relationships. I love that example. Let's talk about the other side for a moment about getting complaints. Now, I can't imagine that GoDaddy would ever get any complaints about anything on social.
Perfect. Sometimes, there are things, maybe little things here and there.
Yeah.
That people might have conflict over, but The key for me, I mean, I'm sure you have your comments, but the key for me, as far as all I've ever done for GoDaddy and when I was in social support and even now, it's to point out that we're here to help. We want to make things right and keep things positive and move forward, like get things resolved. Yes. That's what we're about. We listen and just try to get that positive out there and change it so that the person at the other end is happy.
Yes.
Like that's always my goal. Like if at the end of the day I've made someone else happy or fix their problem or reduce their stress or help their business grow, it doesn't matter if it was a complaint or a compliment or whatever. I've improved their day, improved their business. That's always my goal. And I think that's the goal of GoDaddy, is to always help those small businesses to really succeed.
I think everybody needs a CJ working for them. Can we clone you? Can we clone you?
I've tried.
Yeah. No, and I think that's great. I think that's a great way to look at it. I see complaints as a golden opportunity. So people are going to complain. And some people are going to complain more than others. That's the nature. We all have those friends that's all they do is complain. You may have those customers that are going to be complainers, or they may feel some protection from being behind the screen, and they may talk to you through social in a way that they would never talk to you in person, or they would never talk to you on the phone. And you need to develop a thick skin. Just right now, as a small business owner in social, I'm telling you, you need to develop.
If you're a small business owner, you probably already have it.
Yes, well, I hope so. I hope so. But
it's a tough job, man.
And you might be surprised when people start tweeting at you if in some way they're upset with you or your brand. You may be surprised that some people will write the things that they write on Twitter and Facebook. So I tell people, take a breath or 10 and think what you really want to say in your head, and then before that comes out to your fingers on the keyboard, translate that in a way where it is going to be helpful to the customer, if possible. But more than anything else, that is a way for other people to perceive how your brand is represented. And I will tell you, there will be people that you cannot make happy. You just cannot make happy. But you can continually show that you are making an effort to answer the question or to resolve the problem. And at some point, other people will see, listen, she did everything she possibly could to make that customer happy, and he's really just a jerk. And so people really start to look at that from a brand reputation perspective, like how the brand is helping and responding.
And it's sometimes helpful to keep those conversations public too. You don't always have to take them private just to get them offline. Like if you are genuinely trying to help someone, you want that to be seen by the other people who are, and your advocates who you have built up, they'll jump in and help you. Believe it or not, other customers who love you will come in and they'll be like, hey, and they may not listen to you because you're the business, but they might listen to somebody else. They might listen to another customer or their friend if their friends had a different experience and said, hey, dude, listen to me. I'm your friend. And, whatever. It might just be that person's having a bad day. You just never know.
Yeah.
Or it might just be that they're one of those people that has fun on the computer and likes to yell at people.
Yeah.
Those people exist, but that's all right.
One tip that I can provide is that if somebody is complaining to you, and especially via Twitter, if they're writing a complaint, go look at their Twitter feed. There are some people who have Twitter accounts to do nothing but complain to brands. And sometimes it's a way for them to try to get free stuff or to get discounts and all that kind of stuff. Do a little research and look at what their Twitter feed is like.
And try not to make any assumptions ahead of time. Like always still try to help solve the problem no matter what. Don't make any assumptions, but it does help to have the background for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if you notice that they're sending the same messages to multiple companies or something like that. They may not be genuinely, they may not even really have a problem, but all you can do is offer your support and help.
That's true. And you can do that on the other side too, on the advocacy side. Before you respond to somebody, you can actually go through and look at their Twitter feed, which is public. It is not stalking them, but it is going and looking to see what kind of conversations they're having, what are they talking about, and that information might help you decide what kind of little advocacy gift you want to send to them. Because I don't drink coffee. I don't care if you send me coffee. But if you're taking the time to look at what my likes and dislikes are, it very clearly states in my Twitter profile that I hate honey mustard. So you know not to send me honey mustard anything. But if you're starting to look at what they're posting and what they're sharing and what they're passionate about, or if they just had a baby. I mean, people who have just had babies, they're posting pictures of their kids all over the place. Like, how cool would it be to send somebody who just had a baby a GoDaddy onesie? Like, that would be so cool. But you're taking the time to do something that's personal for them. And so when you have complaints come in, just know that they're going to happen. You're not going to be able to resolve everything, but learn from it. Absolutely learn from it, and talk to your employees about how this happened and how this could have been prevented. And a lot of times, I will tell you, 2 years ago, people, I believe, and you have a longer length of experience in customer social support than I do, but 2 years ago, I saw more people going to social as the road of last resort. I can't get somebody on the phone. I can't get anybody to return my email. I can't get through. So I'm going to social because now I've exhausted other efforts and I'm just trying to get to somebody. I saw that a couple of years ago. Now I'm seeing it evolving into social is the first place I'm going.
Yeah. I tend to go to social first when I have a question for someone. I get responses faster. And that's because people are learning how to do it.
Yeah.
And so it's important to me to have that availability to do that.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to something I was reading yesterday, that it doesn't matter if you are not doing it. Large brands are training consumers, and because large brands are doing this, consumers are expecting to get a response on social. Again, I don't expect any small business to respond within 5 minutes or within 15 minutes, but consumers are being trained by large brands like GoDaddy and JetBlue and all these other brands that we've talked about. People are expecting that response. If you, I just thought of something, that if you're a small business and you don't have the capacity to have either yourself or your team help you with social, there are brands, companies out there that you can, I hate to use the word outsource. I don't like that word, but you can partner with for them to be your community management. So Cloud Peeps is one of those brands, CLOUD Peeps, PEEPS.com, cloudpeeps.com. They are actually community managers that you as a small business can hire for a certain amount of hours and a certain amount of money every month that can actually monitor this for you. This is different than the area of, okay, I'm going to hand my social media management to somebody else. This is a completely different way of thinking. But I don't want you to think that I've got to do all of this. People become overwhelmed. And I know what I do when I become overwhelmed. I do nothing. That's what I do. And I see a lot of people get into that mentality. There's too much to do, so I'm not going to do anything.
Well, and as far as small businesses are concerned, there's also a lot of, and I can't name any, but there are individuals who do that. That is their small business.
Yes.
Is social media outreach and assistance. And so those people exist too. And then you'd be supporting another small business with your small business.
Yep.
But another idea that you would have is if you have limited time for social, and this goes back to you saying JetBlue has the phone number on their page. You could also be proactive in posting on your page what hours you're most likely to be available on social. Like my social media, my Twitter is, I'm available on Twitter from this time to this time. Feel free to leave a message. I'll get back to you. You can always do that. You can leave the times that you're available and then put that in your calendar, schedule that time each day. People will know when to expect you, just like if you were having office hours, and these are the hours that you're going to respond on Twitter most likely. And so that's just be proactive and let your customers know where you are and what you're doing and what your availability is, and they're going to appreciate that.
I love that. That's great to just have that right in your profile when you're going to be there. So I want to wrap it up today with a couple of book recommendations. Not everybody is a reader. Both of these books are available on audio. They're available on Kindle and hard copy. And these books are not specifically about social customer support, but they both have great ideas for social customer support in them, and they are just about really social advocacy. So the first one is called Utility by Jay Baer, And this book is this is one of my all-time favorite books. And I wish every CMO in the world would read this book. I really do. This book is about shifting your way of thinking from marketing as being that push marketing and interruptive marketing to really being marketing that is useful and valuable, with investing in the long term instead of just promoting short term sell. So CMOs, read this. Employees, buy this and give it to your CMOs for Christmas, okay? The second book is The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V is one of the...
I know both of them.
Yeah. Gary V is one of the pioneers in social. And I love him because I love his no BS style. I think he's great. So this book, The Thank You Economy, talks a lot about customer advocacy and how brands really need to be taking care of their customers and going above and beyond, because we all know it's less expensive to keep a customer than to gain a new customer. And if we're really taking care of our customers, they are becoming our own advocates. They're becoming our best advocates, and people trust people before they trust the brands. So just know that managing your social and doing customer care from the place of a small business is very doable. It really is. What do you think?
I think so too. And well, I'm like you, I'm on social 24/7,
Yeah.
So that's what I do. But when I did used to be a podcaster, and I promoted my podcast, and that was something I had to do outside of my regular, day job type stuff. I always found time to communicate with the people, even though they weren't necessarily customers, they're listeners. So communicating with them builds an audience. Right. Just like if you had a business, you want to build your business, your customer base. So I'm very familiar with that. So I know that it's just, you have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you should make the time to do it.
Right.
Schedule it.
Yeah, the way I look at it is you're not going to ignore the phone. If you're a small business owner and you are trying to grow your business, you're not going to ignore the phone. You're not going to ignore your email. And we're at a time in technology and consumerism now that you can't ignore social. So I think that wraps it up. Did you
have any questions you wanted to?
We're all good. I don't see anything else coming in. Just some good comments and people quoting. They love what you've had to say.
Okay, great.
Well, and you can continue to post, and we'll be online, and we can respond to you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have more questions
in
or comments.
social.
Yeah, in social. And you can always tweet me. I'm at Heather Dobson, D-O-P as in Paul, S-O-N.
And at CJ Phoenix, CJPHX.
Perfect. So if you love this, let us know what you liked. If you wanted additional topics or additional information, let us know. And that way Colby can create more Hangouts that are tailored specifically to what you want and what you need. So thank you guys so much for having me today. I really enjoyed it.
Yep, this has been fun.
Yay. Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.